Hi, you guys. Happy almost full moon lunar eclipse. I got to show you the surrounding area, so let me show you, because you know it's like 100 degrees out here, so I got to do this. I got to do this right now. Isn't it pretty? Totally pretty. Okay, so we're in it for, I'm still gasping. I love it. Again, it's my baby hill, and I love that I gasp for air coming up it. Anyway, so we have a full moon in Aquarius, and we have a full lunar eclipse tomorrow and the longest eclipse in like 100 and something years. The eclipse is like an hour, 40 minutes. Longest in 100 years. And the last time this happened in the solar return birth charts for Leo, my people, was like in 1971, followed an eclipse. Not that length of an eclipse, but the same kind of thing that's going on right now. So there are life changes in the process. The other thing is the eclipse tomorrow is at 1:20, so that's 4:20 Canada time. I always do Canada, LA. Pacific time, so Cali time, 1:20 here. So we ought to start feeling the effects already, but who is it going to affect? I'm thinking it's affecting traffic tomorrow during rush hour in Los Angeles on the 405. That's what I'm thinking, because everybody makes a break for it at about 11:45, so they'll all be on the freeway at 1:40. I mean at 1:20 tomorrow, 1:30, whatever it is. And all right, so what is happening eclipse-wise? First, let me show you the area again. I'm climbing up. Somebody's coming up behind me. I always think I'm nuts when I'm talking on here. Okay. It's like really hot. Okay, so we have the eclipse tomorrow and we have the full moon in Aquarius. So who is it affecting? Well, we have a full moon at 4 degrees Aquarius and like 40 seconds. Wait, 4:30 something. So it's 4 degrees. If you have planets at 4 degrees Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, or Leo, it's definitely affecting you. Mars is in Aquarius right now, although it is in a wider degree, but they're traveling in tandem, which means this full moon is about behaving in an overly confident, aggressive way. But let me backtrack it before I go into the signs. The thing that's going on really strongly right now is we had a series of eclipses in 99. Those eclipses are being reactivated right now. And what it is it's a life path change. So what we started doing in the late 90s, 99 to September, in fact, what we started doing in the 90s is coming full circle right now. And there has been, I mean, I word it in terms of non-mundane things, so in the spiritual realm, but there's been kind of a spiritual undercurrent and a combative level with it. So we're seeing a lot of things change with the history of the country, the people, what's expected, what people do for work, how they do it for work. And there's been a lot of things that haven't been accurate or on target with that. And I'm talking on a spiritual level. These people come out into the world, obviously, because we live on Earth. So that's the mundane, the planet. But when we live on Earth and we behave from a lower conscious level, that's what's coming out right now, and it's been building for several years. So we're seeing the effects of that right now, and you're going to start seeing things change. So what we've been noticing in the last 5 years in particular is going to start to break away as we come into the end of this year. So we're in summer, but in the next 6 months. So that's actually the undertone of what's going on. And in the real world on planet Earth, what it is a dissatisfaction with the way that you're living your life. That's the Aquarius Leo energy that's going on. Because keep in mind, we have Mercury just went retrograde. Oh, goody. So we now have 6 planets retrograde, and we're headed in October to have Venus retrograde at that time. I didn't sleep. It was so hot, so I look like crap. But anyway, so we have the Mars and we have the full moon in opposition to Leo with Mercury retrograde in Leo. What is that? Okay, as I've said, Leo is the beginning of the ego. So it's the 5th house of the zodiac, and it's the beginning of the ego. Aquarius is its opposition. So it's the altruistic viewpoint of the world, so the humanitarian side. But often with, it's my, Stephanie, are you calling me sexy in the morning in the heat? It was like 120 2 weeks ago. I was super sexy smelly. But anyway, Aquarius and Leo. Aquarius is the humanistic part of the personality. Leo is the ego. So it's the conceptualization of the ego. Leo is the child process in life, also the sun. So nothing grows without the sun. So therefore the sun thinks it's all cool because it is the giver of life. Aquarius takes the ideas of that creation and expands them in a far-reaching way. So we have an expansion of thought with what is presentable physically here on Earth. And so that's what's going on. But what it boils down to is ego wars between people. So I keep looking for this person to climb up over the hill so I can avoid filming them. What it is ego wars for people. So people's egos are in the way. So if you can remember to take your ego back and step out of it and just let things happen as they would naturally, that's actually going to be the best thing during this time. Now keep in mind, I actually think that this full moon is more of a Mars in Aquarius type thing, because we have the Mars retrograde in Aquarius and we have the full moon in Aquarius. So this is a very aggressive kind of life-changing, but I'm going to put it in words of a spiritual change. What does a soul actually need? That's how I'm seeing it at this point. I'm not seeing it like, oh, you know, World War III is going to start, or, you know, you're going to drive into a wall of a building and cause a problem. It's not that. It's an internal thing going on. So it's, what do you want to accomplish on Earth as a person, as a human being? Whether that is you want to grow a vegetable garden in your backyard, you want a new job, you want to accomplish something creatively, you want to have a child, whatever it is, that's actually what's coming up right now. And keep in mind, the effects of this eclipse will go on for, well, definitely the next few days with an extreme energy. Even if you're not causing fights, people around you are going to be causing fights, but it's internally with themselves. It's not actually directed at you. So it's an internal thing, meaning the person causing the chaos is the person who has the issues with the self, and they're extending outward. Maybe they're not speaking their truth. Maybe they're not saying what they want. Aquarius is very interesting. Keep in mind, Aquarius and Leo, they pull on, all oppositions pull on each other. So Leo people will often be very humanitarian, and Aquarius people can be quite egotistical at different times. So, I mean, it goes back and forth. And as I've explained, and I think I put it on Instagram actually, but when people call, I love the sun. There, it's right through my face. Okay. Before, after, wait. Whatever. When people call Leo the ego, what they're really saying is it's the beginning of the creative force. It's also the child focus. So children come into the world thinking the world revolves around them. Leo is the beginning of that stage and process. But the reason that it goes so well with Aquarius and it goes back and forth is because after they realize that the world is not about them, they're able to extend the world outward and help other people. So that's actually what's going on. But Mars is retrograde in Aquarius. So that's your aggression, which means it's affecting Aries. So add Aries to that bunch. And then you can add Capricorn, Cancer, and Libra too. Although mildly. We've just come out of a grand water trine. We had in the beginning of July, because the sun was in Cancer, Jupiter, Scorpio, and Neptune, Pisces, we had a grand water trine for a while, which was good, but not enough action was taken because it's kind of like our foot's on the gas and the brake with these retrograde planets. Anyway, let's go through it. So who needs to watch out right now and be particularly careful? Aries. Okay, you guys, you need to watch, because Mars, which is your ruling planet, is going backwards in the sky in the sign of Aquarius, which means you are overly confident with your ability to speed up and gutter jump somebody on your way through a red light. So don't do it, because that's exactly the kind of thing. It's kind of a, again, an ego pull. So what can you do and how can you tone it back? So think before you act. That's for Aries, because they tend to act really rashly and they jump into stuff right away. So for Aries, it's important, maybe you don't travel so much during this time, and if you do, you travel gingerly, meaning you pay attention. You pay attention to what is going on around you before you gutter jump through the red light. Now, after Aries, and the other thing that Aries has to watch is that they don't blow up for some reason, for no reason, for any reason, which they have a tendency to do, because keep in mind, they tend to rule the expression of anger, but it's in bursts of anger. So during this Mars retrograde, they're pissed off anyway. Add Aquarius to that, and add the ego of both of those signs, and the Aries has a little bit of trouble containing themselves. So they might end up in fights they don't even mean to end up in. So for Aries, it's especially volatile for you, and over this weekend and into the next week. It's really active for the next 4 days. So you guys probably want to go somewhere where you're not drinking a whole bunch of alcohol or smoking crack or whatever. Just don't do it. Just say no. If you don't do those kind of things, you should watch who you get into arguments with, because they could beat the shit out of you. That's for the Aries. So Aries has to really watch it. This goes for Aries rising, who are more Aryan in nature than an Aries sun. Because remember, the rising sign, do you guys know the rising sign? I keep telling you guys, got to know your moon, rising, and of course you know your birthday. But the rising sign is the way we show ourselves to the world. So unless your sun and rising sign are the same, and moon sign, which is a really authentic expression of that sign, you have different modes of personality. So Aries rising needs to be particularly careful, because they are aggro during this time. And they need to watch, because it's going to come into full fling within the next 4 days. So for them, wow, it's way too sunny out here and way too hot. I'm like trying to check for snakes on the ground as I'm walking, because the little snakies come out in the heat. Anyway, I'm going to show you the view and then go on to Taurus. And as is the case, as I've said, with Mars retrograde, the key word for that, and keep in mind, Venus retrograde, which rules women, will be happening in early October. I think it's the 6th or the 9th. But Mars is retrograde right now. Mars rules men, and we have, my code word for that, you know, I love to say it, is men behaving badly. Well, whoever started that fire in Idlewild that they arrested, you're a prick. Anyway, he was a man and he started the fire. That's the kind of irrational thinking that's going on right now. I can't imagine what he was thinking, but he just burnt that beautiful area down by the backside of like San Jacinto, going up the backside through Idlewild. I can't even believe it. Like, I was planning to go there. Now it's all on fire and people are losing their houses. That's the kind of energy of Mars, and it's combustible in the next 4 days. So that person that set the fires is somebody who's reacting probably through mental illness or drugs or whatever, but he's reacting to this full moon and the retrogrades. Keep in mind, again, 6 planets in retrograde. Retrograde is a really awesome thing. I know people fear Mercury retrograde. No fear here. The reason we don't need to fear it is because all retrograde planets, and keep in mind, every year people are born during a Mercury retrograde, you know, with planets retrograde in their chart, natally, by birth. So they live with it their whole lives. So what is a retrograde planet? A retrograde planet is a do-over in this life, although we don't remember what the hell we did in the last life. That's my beef with karma. If I'm being punished in this life, which is not really the tone of karma, it's just experience, but it feels like punishment. If I'm being punished or experiencing things I consider to be punishment, I can't remember what I did last life or 3 lifetimes ago that I'm here in this life now. So I don't get the point, but when I die, I'll figure that out. But the retrogrades are spiritual points in the planet's movement to teach us to focus on what the soul needs. So that is why things get really screwed up when it comes to like electronics, mechanics, that kind of thing, because those are things of the earth. Now, even though we're on the earth 50, 60, 70 years, whatever it is, 80, 100, we travel throughout time, and there is no time, but we travel through lifetime to lifetime, going in and out of different soul lives, and sometimes we don't do what we're supposed to do. That's what this eclipse is about with all these retrogrades. It's about pinpointing on a soul level what you want and how to move forward. So now, your Taurus people right now, and keep in mind, again, I forgot to mention this, with the full moon, the lunar eclipse lasting like an hour and 40 minutes, like a full lunar eclipse, it's like been over 100 years. With the full moon in Aquarius, we're in opposition in Leo, it's Sun in Leo, with Mars in Aquarius in wide conjunction, meaning Mars is ahead by degrees, so it's not a tight conjunction, but it's still, to me, the dominant factor during this full moon. We also have the squaring aspects, which are Taurus and Scorpio. So we have Uranus and Taurus right now, which I don't know if you guys remember, but I posted a picture of them, that beautiful ram I saw just like 20 minutes before Uranus went out of Aries into Taurus, and that ram stepped in front of me up in the mountains, and I took his picture, and he looks like a statue. Nobody believes he's real. He was real. He just stepped in front of me like he was saying goodbye. He's like, I'm Aries and I'm leaving and Taurus is coming in, but I didn't see a bull, because what the hell would a bull be doing at 10,000 feet? Hopefully nothing. But anyway, we have Uranus and Taurus right now. That is also a secondary contributor to the erratic energy that's going on, because Taurus is very earthbound and tied to all things earth. Money, food, nice materials, nice cars, anything you can do on the earth that people value on this earth, that think that it makes them better or more, you know, productive or better people. We tend to think like if we have money, we can do what we want. You know, if we look beautiful, we can do what we want and get away with things. If we come from the right family, we can do things. Like, it scales on down in each neighborhood. But what's really interesting is with Uranus, Aquarius's ruling planet in steady and stable Taurus, it's anything but steady and stable. Taurus can be a militant dictator when agitated, and can become very erratic under this influence because of its squaring position to the Aquarius planets. So it can be a battle of wills, and you won't win against a Taurus, but they're not changeable, they're not flexible. So you have to remember that's what the arguments are going to be about, is because they're not going to be flexible in their movement. So that's where the issues can come up. So for Taurusers are being affected right now in a very physical sense. Here is the person. I'm not going to put them on camera. Hi. I'm not putting you on camera. Now she's running in the heat. Bye. I'm glad to see you. Nice to see you too. I saw you coming up. I'm like, oh, I gotta wait so I don't catch you. Okay, so anyway, I like the nice hikers. They're very fun. Very few people come up this way, but when they do, I like to see them. So what's going on right now with Taurus is, on a physical sense, the more rigid and the more stubborn the Taurus person, Taurus rising or Taurus moon is, the more physical symptoms will pop up this week. So it's a very physical week for the Taurus. They're going to tell you, if you know anybody who's Taurus or Taurus rising or Taurus moon, these people are good at business, but they're really rooted in their idea and they won't budge. So they think their way is right, basically. With Aquarius, who thinks they know more than everybody, no offense Aquarius or Taurus, but Aquarius thinks they know better than other people, or they're smarter than other people. That's like the higher, usually because they get inspired ideas, because their ruling planet is Uranus, so they think far-reaching. So they think their ideas are ahead of their time and they will espouse them. However, if people on the earth aren't ready to hear it, that causes a battle, and that's what's going on. So those are the kind of arguments that you're going to see. But Taurus has to watch their health for the next probably 2 months in reference to this, because their nervous system is being kind of revved up by Uranus, and then with that they end up with like physical symptoms of this. So they really need to be careful in that reference, like for themselves. So take care of yourselves, Taurus. Take your vitamins, drink your water, get your sleep. Although they're not sleeping much, because Uranus is a very jarring energy. So for the next 7 years, you Taurus people are going to have, Taurus moon and rising, are going to have your lives shaken up like you have never thought. But it's all in the process of experiencing on a soul level. Remember, as much as sometimes we hate the way that we are living our lives, or how we live, or where we live, or what we're doing, and I'll speak for that, ready for change over here, Leo person ready for change, as much as we can hate it at different times, it's experience. So even if you end up in jail or with a flat tire on the 405 in 110-degree heat, okay, I should shut my mouth with that, because you know that's happening every second during this heat wave. Cars are catching fire everywhere. But if you end up in these circumstances, they're experiences. So it is the ego that tells us this experience is bad, and the judgment that this experience is bad. So it isn't actually bad. It's just a soul experience. And the more evolved the soul gets, well, it can be the less evolved and the more evolved, but in theory, the more evolved a soul gets, they want to play it less safe in this life. So they want to put themselves in circumstances that are more extreme. This means, you know, going to the edge of extreme behaviors and whatever reason. I think I might use Charlie Sheen as an example for that. I don't know if he's evolved or not evolved. I'm just saying with the extreme thing, he seems to strike me as pretty funny. He's another earth sign. It's good for earth signs right now. I haven't heard from him, so I'm assuming he's doing better. But I'm talking about extreme personalities. Anyway, the next sign we have coming into play during this eclipse is my one person favored on the planet in Gemini. That would be my little Lila. And the other Geminis out there, but she's my fave. The Gemini people right now are actually getting inspired and quick thinking. So they're learning. So for Gemini, this is a learning full moon eclipse for them. So it's the beginning of the process of probably the next 14 years of a learning cycle for them, which is really applicable to young kids, right? So those young Geminis that we know, or younger, 20 and younger, this means they could be following into their career path during this time, because the information they're receiving during these eclipses, during this eclipse and a series of eclipses, because keep in mind, we're still under the influence of the July 12th eclipse, which was a partial solar eclipse. So we're still under that effect. But what's happening is, for your little Gemini people and your big Gemini people, this can be career switches for you guys. So this is a different kind of a focus, and the focus is on changing the knowledge that you take in and what you do with that knowledge. So for Gemini, this is super cool. Although everybody around them going to be yelling at them, because that's this energy with that eclipse. So they're going to have the normal, you know, shenanigans going on around them. Now we get to Cancer. Okay, can I just say my Cancer's been irritating the crap out of me this week? By that I mean my oldest child. You all know who he is, because he has an Aries rising. So he's one of those aggro people. He just like is aggro. So yeah, and keep in mind, you Cancer people, your water energy, and this is a very, very fixed kind of energy with this full moon eclipse right now. It's fixed. And water is, it's protective, it's retentive, it's retiring, and you have this fixed, stubborn energy. So it's really combustible right now. So it's water, fire, earth, and it's all in the mix upside down. But having said that, for Cancer, right now this week, there are things shifting, particularly with money and work. Cancer's focus for the past 2 years has been money and work. It's been very focused, like money, work, money, work. It's not recognition through work or money, but it's focused, intentional work and money. So for Cancers, you guys have to really watch your tongues, bite your tongues, because when they get emotionally upset, they lash out and say shitty things. Oh, am I speaking personally, or am I speaking about all Cancers? I'm speaking about all Cancers, Cancer rising, Cancer moon, and Cancer sun sign. So for Cancers, ooh, there's a little hummingbird over there. Oh, he just flew off. He just went that way. He was right there. I went that way. So for Cancers, bite your tongue. Just put your hand over your mouth, or better yet for Cancers, put some food in your mouth, and then you won't be inclined to speak out. You know, they've got to watch it, because wherever they're working, they can say something that can actually alter the course of their work in this coming eclipse season. So if you are a Cancer sun, moon, or rising, you probably don't want to speak out abruptly during this phase, and especially in the next 4 days, because there will be repercussions for it. So keep your mouth shut. If you happen to have a combination of Cancer Aquarius, Cancer Aries, it's probably Cancer Taurus, it's probably too late for you. You're going to say something because you can't help yourself. So drink a soda, put a cookie in your mouth, I don't know, suck on a lollipop, just don't speak, because for you guys, it will affect your work and money during probably the next 2 months, and far-reaching 6 months till the end of the year, till we're out of all of this. And you should be noticing the changes, so everybody knows by the end of this year, we should be noticing the changes in all of these decisions that we're making right now. So if you are unhappy right now, if you are wanting change, start speaking it, because this eclipse is going to force it to happen. What you say is going to happen. Even if you don't mean to say it, it's going to happen. Don't test the waters. So don't say it if you don't want it to happen. And then after Cancer, we have my people, the Leos, in the bunch. I know we're obnoxious, we're egomaniacs. It's not that, it's just that we're shiny. Deal with it. It is Leo season. Yay! So Leo, sun, moon, and rising, you guys are in effect in this eclipse, okay? Because we are fixed fire. We are stubborn, we are fixed, and we are fiery. So we're aggro to begin with, like Aries and like Sagittarius. Sagittarius on a lesser degree, because we know that Sagittarius just wants to have fun. So if it means fighting or fun, they're going to have fun and then fight. But for Leo people, this full moon eclipse is in opposition to us, which means it's triggering us to actually make the changes in our lives so we have the life that we want. We are in the surroundings that we want, doing the kind of work that we want, being seen the way we want to be seen. Now that can boil down to somebody that doesn't like how much they weigh and they want to change their physical shape if you're a Leo. So it's really strong during this time for you guys to actually take action, or us guys to take action. So if you are wanting to change any aspect of your life, whether it's your appearance, your money, your work, your relationship, your children, your schooling, this is the time frame for Leo. So Leo is going to jump out on a ledge and start something. So your Leos are going to be aggressive during this time, saying things to get that ball rolling. I was going to say the bull rolling. I meant the ball rolling. So they're going to be saying things. So for Leo, it is heated debate within themselves, pushed outwards, speaking to those around them. So this can be at work, this can be at home, this can be the gas station, the gym, the grocery store. So Leos are going to be speaking their mind. And keep in mind, because we are in a Mercury retrograde in Leo, Leo is speaking from a spiritual point, what their soul needs, which may sound like they are bitching or griping or angry or pissed off, but the soul needs what it needs and requires right now. And for Leo, it's going to come up really strongly. So that's what you're going to see happening with the Leo people. You're probably not going to want to be around them because you probably don't want to hear them. Like maybe you don't give a shit, which is the case in our house. No one gives a shit. They're like, oh, it's a Leo talking again. Let's tune it out. But that's okay. I'll put it on a video and say it. And then what? Put it on YouTube. Might be kind of fun. So for Leo, you guys are actually in the process of changing because the retrogrades are affecting you with Mars in opposition, the full moon and the eclipse in opposition to Mercury retrograde in Leo. So you guys are going to feel it. You may even feel frustrated beyond belief and start telling people how frustrated you are, like with your weight, with your kids, with your house, with the paint on the door, with whatever. The holes in the wall, whatever it may be, you may start saying you're frustrated. And so the cracks are being undone and the reality is stepping forward. It's actually not a bad thing because if everybody can be flexible during this time, you can move towards group goals. It's just going to be hard to get people to see out of their individual focus point, especially for Leo people and the people around them, because it's affecting everybody in the environment. So from Leo, we have Virgo. Okay, you know what I love to say about Virgos? You Virgos are the weirdos of the zodiac. I love you, but you are weirdos. Virgo risings, Virgo moon, and Virgo suns, meaning there is a real mutable, changeable aspect to your personality. You rule the higher part of the mind. Gemini rules the lower part of the mind, meaning the day-to-day versus the focused study of Virgo. But Virgo is very quirky. They're eclectic and they're quirky, which is a good thing, but they're also weird. They're just plain weird because with Virgo comes all of those OCD qualities that we love so much. So like they have to, I don't know, tap the walls 17 times before they walk out the front door. They have to drive a lime green snot-colored car. They have to do stupid shit because it's part of their ritual. That's what I mean with Taurus. That's going to be affected right now because of the earth aspect coming from Uranus and Taurus. Virgo is going to have inspired ideas coming up right now. So Virgo may actually change the drive and direction of what they plan to do in their life in the next several months. They may abruptly change and not tell you why. Give you an example of this. I had a Virgo client like about a week and a half ago that came in for a reading and was like, I think I'm just going to up and move. And like, this person had a lot of money, had a lot of status, had a lot of power, has a lot of money, status, and power, suddenly just decided they wanted to go off and like be on their own and kind of meditate, and actually left their work, left their, like literally left their employment after 23 something years, left their family, left everything, and took off to a different country to like live in a shack for real, because he felt the meaning of life, he needed to learn it. Now, I don't think Virgos need to make that kind of crazy ass change, but it's that kind of energy with the Uranus in Taurus. It's going to make them think, I have to do something that bizarre in order to affect change in my life. So for them, you're going to see a lot of Virgo people do weird things. They're going to be doing abrupt changes and weird things. It's okay, they'll come out of it fine, but people around them are going to be like, what the hell just happened here? So for Virgo, it's these erratic little changes that are going to affect you. And remember, what you do in an eclipse time will affect you for the following six months after, if not, and it's not like a bad affect you. It's more like, I hate this expression with a passion, you made your bed, lie in it, because I want to say to people, fuck you. What the hell does that mean? I can change my sheets and I can throw the bed out, so I don't have to lie in it. But in this particular instance, you do have to lie in it. I really hate that saying. It's like, shut up with that. I just don't think so. But they do. So what the Virgo does during this time frame and on in through past their birthday is going to affect them for the next 6 months, if not further. Like, let's say you do quit your job and you tell everybody to fuck off and you leave the country and the IRS is looking for you. I guess it might affect you for like a good 8 to 10 years after that. Or if you pull a bank hoist and you get arrested, obviously that is going to affect you. So for Virgo, they need to be careful, walk lightly and tread carefully in the next several months for them, and especially over the weekend. So I will say that. And then we have our Libra people. Our Libra people, of course, depending on the degree, and I forget the degree that Saturn's in, I can't even remember, it's gone out of my head, but we have Pluto and we have Saturn right now in Capricorn. So that is squaring our Libra people, and Libra people are looking for harmony and balance. They're attracting everything but harmony and balance, but that's what they're looking for. And this eclipse actually weirdly brings them into a steady focus. It does remove things from their lives that are no longer needed in a spiritual sense. So if there is things that the Libra is dealing with that are no longer needed, this brings them into effect where they don't have to live with it anymore. So I'm so itchy right now because there's bugs flying around me. But for the Libra, so they may lose things. Let's say Libra has 3 homes and they can never get to all 3 homes because they have work, they have this, they have that. In effect, they might start to decide to let go of one of their homes or 2 of their homes and really scale down. This isn't a bad thing, it's a good thing for them. So they're going to start seeing what they really need in their life versus what they think they need in the earthbound world. Now, personally, I need 16 homes, but that's not happening. So no, I'm kidding. But the Libra people, they feel they need certain things. This is all being taken away, so they're only being left with what they really need on a soul level. So if it is a relationship, they need to be in harmony. And this is for my Libra clients, because a lot of you guys have been coming in this week. You do not need to try to have a relationship to make a relationship work, even though you are the relationship sign, okay? You don't need to have one. So that's what's going to be shifting away, is Libra energy is going to be letting go of the compulsive need to constantly be in a relationship. This is a good thing because they're going to learn balance and balance between self and reciprocation within relationships. So that eclipse is doing that for them. And after Libra, we have another one in the eclipse, almost Grand Cross hell zone, we'll just call it that, and that is Scorpio. Now, Jupiter is in your sign and it's going direct and it's all good, and that's good, or gooder, or better, or whatever, but you are a fixed water sign. So Scorpios, to begin with, have a lot of trouble. Scorpio sun, moon, rising, okay? All of you all have a lot of trouble expressing your emotions. There is a repression. There is with water signs in general as far as emotions, because they've learned through childhood. Keep in mind, we're born with a certain sign in order to help us facilitate what we didn't learn in the last life. If you believe in reincarnation and you believe in the soul coming back, which I do, so I'm speaking from that focus. But what happens is with water signs, and especially Scorpio, Scorpio has learned early on in life that if they express their emotions freely, like telling somebody they love them or wanting to be around them or saying, I really enjoy your company, they learn that they get kicked in the teeth with that because it is an undercurrent and it is used against them at a later time. So they often retreat from telling you what they really feel, and you have to play guessing games with them. Okay, not so much during this eclipse. They are going to actually step outside of their shell, like all water signs during this eclipse, and say something they don't mean to say, but that's what they're going to do. So they're going to jump out and say some kind of crap to somebody, which is going to probably get them into some kind of argument and piss them off. So Scorpio, because you are in the middle of this, Mercury retrograde squaring you, so you will say things that are stupid that you don't mean to say. And by stupid, I mean other people consider them stupid. I don't care what you say. Unless you're in my house and you're a Scorpio, then I'm kicking you out because I don't want to hear it. But Scorpio is going to say stupid stuff because the Mercury retrograde is squaring. And keep in mind, then you're in opposition to the Uranus and Taurus, and we have the whole eclipse thing that's squaring you at the same time with the Mars retrograde. So Scorpio is in like the crosshairs. It's like bow and arrow right for the forehead. So Scorpio needs to really step it back, meditate, and take care. But as is the energy of Scorpio, keep in mind there are three expressions of Scorpio. There is the scorpions, the reptiles on the ground, the ones that sneak up and bite you. We'll call them scorpions with their old stingers, and they just bite everything in their way because they don't even want to deal with you. Then there is, I'm using the animals as the expression, okay, because Scorpio is one of the most extreme signs and one of the most transformative signs. Then you have the gray lizards. Now, if you've ever been in the desert and watched a lizard, they know everything that's going on and they say nothing, and nobody really bothers them. They kind of hang out on the rocks. They know when stuff is coming. They scamper away when danger's there. So they're very observant, and they're spiritual in the sense because they have wisdom and they don't come out and let people know they're there. So, which is another Scorpio trait. If you want to know if you're with a person who's a Scorpio rising or moon, not just a sun sign, I'm talking more of the rising sign. A Scorpio rising will go into a public establishment and they will always pick the chair with their back to the wall because they don't want anybody sneaking up on them. They have that innate sense of people wanting to take them out, because I guess it's like also the mafia gangster kind of hoodlum sign in its lower degree vibration. Anyway, so they sit with their back to the wall. So that's how you'll know if you're Scorpio, moon, or rising. You'll find them like jacked up against the wall. They don't let things get behind them because they can't see or control what's going on back there. That's how you know. Now we're all going to sit with our backs to the wall and copy them so we don't get into trouble. Anyway, so the higher expression of Scorpio is, of course, the phoenix rising from the ashes, meaning take your people that have gone through hell, a drug addiction. We'll use Charlie Sheen again if he's ever to get sober and go up. But that kind of energy that rises from the depths of like prison and hell and addiction and prostitution and rises up and changes their soul path through their own sheer will and willpower and stubbornness, those people are represented in the sign of Scorpio. But you guys, you Scorpios, I mean, are right in the middle of all of this. So you're going to lose your temper, say things you don't mean to say, get pissed off and push yourself out there emotionally public, and you're not going to mean to, and it's going to bother you that you did. So you might tell somebody how you feel, you might tell them how you really feel, you might step out publicly, say something on video. You could refrain from that if you think you're going to do that, because it's going to get you in trouble. Just saying. And so after Scorpio, we have Sagittarius, also a fire sign. Now, Sagittarius right now is doing okay, moon and rising, in the retrograde phase, because they're kind of going with the flow of things. Sagittarius had its rough time a couple of years back. They were in, with Saturn and Sag. It was rough and they were learning life lessons. Sagittarius during this time, it's really interesting because they're going to watch everything in their environment kind of shove off the rails while they stay neutral about it, which is a first for them, because you know what I say about Sagittarius, as does everybody, it's foot in mouth. So Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising will say things they don't mean to say. Well, they mean to say it, but it's just like wildly inappropriate. So they're foot in mouth. So if ever you meet somebody that can't shut their mouth, can't like says stupid shit publicly, that's probably a Sagittarius. However, they speak from a very honest perspective. So when they say something stupid like, you really look fat in that dress, they really mean it. And even though it's offensive as hell, it might actually help you see things differently because they're honest, as opposed to 99.9% of people that told you to go out in the dress, even though if you look behind yourself in the mirror, you would have been like, I'm not wearing that dress. But because you'd prefer to believe the nonsense than the reality. See, Sagittarius come in to do that. They just have to learn to like tone it slightly. So during this eclipse, they might be a little bit prone to say something they don't mean to say. But for most part, Sagittarius is watching their surroundings. So everybody around them is jumping off the rails. So Sag is going to have an interesting, they should get a notebook or a tape recorder and kind of pay attention to what's going on around them, because that's where they're going to take note of all the crazy stuff. And they're going to be like, that person's kind of batshit crazy, note to self. I know that. They're going to see it. So there's a lot of changes coming around Sagittarius and what's going on around them in their lives. So for them, it's not so bad, except keep in mind, like whatever goes on around you in a retrograde happens to you, but some people are more, like it's more directly affecting them. So if the Sagittarius person lives with, say, a Scorpio, an Aries, a Cancer, or a Leo person or an Aquarius person, they're going to be affected just by proximity. So it could be a little bit intense from that, but otherwise it's not affecting them personally. I'm trying to step out of the way of everything so I can keep hiding as the sun climbs up. The other thing we have with Sagittarius is this is a good time for them to get back on course with what they're doing. So Sagittarius are in the process right now of getting back on course, which is really good. After Sag, what do we have? Oh yeah, Capricorn. You guys, Pluto and Saturn is in your sign. I say this every update. You all are struggling as Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, and Aries. So Aries is just getting it like from everywhere. They're getting bitch slapped. But Capricorn right now, this for you, like Cancer, is a real work focus. So you are in the process of focusing work-wise right now. And so there's a real focus in getting yourself back in track. So the interesting thing for Capricorn, because Capricorn can get very upset and disgruntled about a lot of different things, usually because they take life seriously, not because they think they have to, but because on some level they know they have things to accomplish, and that takes a lot of work, and so therefore they have to focus. So it's kind of like doing 900 loads of laundry. They know they have to get it done, so it's all about the laundry all day, and they don't want it to be. So for Capricorn, the focus is on elevating themselves work-wise. They're not particularly upset about their relationships or their day-to-day life, like going to the gym, the grocery store, whatever. It's more about how do I get on focus work-wise for Capricorn. So like Cancer, Capricorn has a really strong work focus and can elevate themselves in a different way financially during this time frame if they put their mind to it. Because of the Pluto Saturn affecting Capricorns, again, depending on the degree of your sun, moon, or rising, and how close those planets, and I personally use a 3-degree orb, so within 3 degrees. So if something is at 10 degrees and you have the opposing, squaring, or similar planets within 7 degrees, at 7 degrees or at 13 degrees, then you are conjuncting, squaring, or whatever, those aspects. So that's how I do it. I don't go like, oh, one's at 20 degrees and one's at 1 degree. It's a 3-degree orb for me to actually read the energy affecting you. And when it gets within degree, as the planets move, that's when you'll be hit with it. Now, if it hits your angles within 1, 2, or 3 degrees, and I'll even use a wide orb of 5 degrees within the angles, because I noticed you can feel it walking its way up by degree. But I digress. Back to Capricorn. It's about work, money, and how to steer your life in that way so that you can actually accomplish career goals. So you will find a lot of your Capricorn people with Saturn and Pluto there in the process of going back to school, re-educating themselves. And this eclipse is going to bring that into effect for them. So for Capricorn, that is what's going on. And then we have Aquarius. Well, because it is the full moon in Aquarius, as we know, in opposition to Mercury retrograde, with Mars in Aquarius, you Aquariuses are basically fucked for all intents and purposes. I'm sorry, I had to say it. It just sounded really great. What it is it's frustration for Aquarius, because it's almost like you take a little, you know, a little kid's rag doll, and there's like two little kids pulling on the arms, and then there's another little kid pulling on the leg, and the little rag doll, or like little dogs playing with their little chew toys, and it's going off in one direction. That's what it is for Aquarius people during this time frame. It is pulling them in 34 different directions. So Aquarius really needs to take time to meditate, be calm. Keep in mind during this eclipse for you Aquariuses and respectively Leos, because it's the opposing sign and Mercury's retrograde in that, both your signs, but especially Aquarius, has a career direction change. So Aquarius is thinking, hey, I'm a whatever, fill in blank, waitress, musician, anchor woman, housewife, cookie baker, barista at Starbucks. Yeah, that's the ideal job. Okay, you know I love my Starbucks. Anyway, yeah, it's a white woman thing to say. I said it. I don't care. That's my friend always says. He goes, you white women. I'm like, that's right. That's what we do. Drive-through has been the death of me, because I can just drive through at every corner. Okay, all of that aside, for Aquarius, whatever it is you do for a living, you're going to start thinking, I may want to change this. I want something different. I want something tangible. Aquarius, usually a mental sign up in their head, wants to feel. So they want something tangible that's going to bring this out so that they can feel. This is what's going on at the moment for Aquarius. So during this eclipse season, it's especially affecting you, and it's especially affecting your opposing sign of Leo and your squaring signs of Taurus and Scorpio. Keep in mind, Taurus has the health issues out of the squaring planets. They're the ones that are going towards the physicality of this because of Uranus at the same time. So I mean, Uranus is in Taurus at that point. So Aquarius during this eclipse, besides being moody, feeling the energy of the moon, you may feel more tired, more hyper, more angry, more physical, more sleepy, whatever it is, more laughy, more crying. If you Aquariuses are in menopause, or you Leos, I'll put my hand up for that. I'm going to do a whole video on like menopause because I find it hilarious. The shit. And it's like finally you realize if you were a young woman with the brain of a 50-something-year-old, you'd be so dangerous and you wouldn't give a shit and you'd be far more accomplished. I can't quite figure out why we don't have the intellect when we're young. Maybe when I come back, like the planet will have evolved that way, and so I can actually have my intellect and then I won't screw up so much. Of course, it's about experience, so we're supposed to screw up, so I suppose that's the point. Anyway, I will do a video about, I'm going to do a whole series on menopause because I find it really awesome and hilarious at the same time. Like when you look at yourself and you're like, wow, this is really messed up. Sorry, it just struck me as funny. So you Aquarius is in menopause, maybe really moody, like you have PMS or you're like psychotic or you're on a rant. And for Aquarius, keep in mind, full moons are purging. What is a full moon? Full moon is what has happened from the beginning of pregnancy, the new moon, through the stages of pregnancy to the full moon and the birth. What happens at birth? The baby comes out. And so there is an expelling of energy. So during a full moon and eclipse, there is a clearing of energy, which reminds me, before I get to the last sign of Pisces, I'm going to pull this out of my pocket. I am making a new oil with this crystal. Let me show you. It's so fabulous. Okay, so here we are. I hope you guys can see it. Okay. Ooh, here comes another person. We have a runner. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to step out of the way of the runner so I don't get them coming up. Hey, good job. Hi. Run, run, run. We have a runner. There goes the runner. He's a runner. I love to see runners because, you know, it's what I live for. Runners and people running uphill. Uphill is the best. Forget flat, forget low ground. Train yourself going uphill because your stamina and endurance and your mental focus is so much stronger when you go uphill because it's harder. It's twice as hard. Ladies, it's twice the calories. So that's exactly why this menopausal bitch here does it, because it's twice the calorie burn. Anyway, for Aquarius, keep in mind, you're going to be affected strongly emotionally. So lay your emotions out. Try not to do it in an illegal way, but other than that, it's emotional time for you. So we all have to understand that the full moon is in Aquarius, and therefore they're going to express themselves emotionally, which is super awesome. I think it's good for Aquarius to get their emotions out because they're ruled by Uranus. Uranus is a mental planet, meaning not mentally ill, but it's mentally inspired. So it connects with the higher realms, but it's inspired thought. It's not heart thought. So for them to feel is good to bring them into their bodies. So that's what this is about for them. But full moons, eclipses are clearing. Oh, so my crystal, you guys, if you want to collect the full moon energy, put your crystals out now. Make your oils now. I'm gonna have new oils out with my Bursite crystal. That's what that crystal was. It's so fabulous because it is a self-esteem crystal and it gives you the ability to make decisions. But I am going to leave it out from this full moon to the next new moon so you can take action with those decisions. So I will have that on the website soon. We are making it tonight to have it right in time for this. And then the energy, it's going to be fabulous. So I will be doing that, and I'll be doing more prosperity oil, which is money basically, and love, and well, we have the selenite oil still. So this time it's going to be Bursite oil because I do a different crystal oil to affect different changes in our lives, not just money, love, and health, because that's typical. Okay, so let's go on to Pisces. Pisces people, Pisces. Okay. That is my little Kenna is a Pisces, and it's very difficult for them. There's one of two ways Pisces respond to the world. Keep in mind, as I've said, we all incarnate into a sign we need to express the energy of. So there are no right or wrong signs. I hear people all the time in astrology, and it's these, I don't know what's going on. Okay, first of all, I have to say this. There's all these astrologers out there that say, you know, I'm a this astrologer, I'm a that astrologer, that when they're talking, don't really understand the energy of planets. There's very few people that really get it. They're using the traditional basic outline of astrology, but in truth, when they describe astrology, they're not describing why you're born in a certain sign. The reason you're born to any sign, and the reason the expression of that sign is neither right nor wrong, it's just annoying to the people around them, because we find shit annoying on the planet Earth, is because they need to express that energy. So if you have an Aries person, Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is aggression and anger and the warring planet. So people say only love matters. When they say, okay, love matters, but when they say it, an Aries person's karma is to learn through anger. So for example, when an Aries person gets pissed off when they're a little kid, it may prompt them to take action and learn something and progress. Okay, so when a Libra person is out of balance and searching for balance, it's because they've been out of balance. So there's no right or wrong. When a Sagittarius person is running all over the globe having fun, not settled down and not stable, which is the case with 99.9% of them, because they like to do that shit, it's not abnormal. They're looking for the philosophy in life. So they're traveling the earth to see the different cultures, different textures, so they can find out what fits with them. It's not wrong. Just because we say it's wrong because it doesn't agree with our sign does not make it wrong. So Pisces is the encompass of all 12 signs. So they're basically, don't take offense at the schizophrenic on an emotional level, because they go in and out of all 12 signs all day long. They are the moodiest bunch. Now, they come at it one of two ways. They can pull on their opposition of Virgo, which means they can become very analytical and up in their head, or they can go full Pisces, which is your drug addicts, your alcoholics, and Pisces rules food. So people with weight issues probably have an overactive Piscean planet somewhere in their chart causing havoc because they're tuning out. Meaning they're tuning out on an emotional level, or they're not handling it. So with the Pisces people, they go in and out of so many different emotions. That is normal for them. They're happy to see you one minute, and then they're pissed off at you in the next minute, and then you can't find them, and then they're sobbing. So for them during this eclipse, because all water signs have to watch what they say and do at work, because they may affect their job, and Pisces is no exception to that. Pisces probably already has issues at work because they retreat, they go in, you know, they're in and out of their shell. They're even more so than Cancer. So it's hard to pull a Pisces out to get them to speak because they don't really know what they want to say, because they're very receptive and empathic to everything around them. So depending on where and how and whom they live with, they tend to pick up the traits of those people. But during this eclipse time for Pisces, it's probably going to be very frustrating because it's a real tangible energy and they're watery. Watery is fluid. Keep in mind, their sign is fish swimming in opposite directions. So they technically are swimming in circles, but opposite circles and directions. So for them, the tangibility of everything that's going on that's fixed is annoying. Fixed is annoying to Pisces. Pisces people are fluid. Its ruling planet is Neptune, and it's fluid. It's like Mercury, fluid, although it's not Mercury, but it's like water. It's fluid. It just comes in. It can be direct and strong, and it can be artistic and beautiful, and it can be crazy and, you know, whatever. I like the word slutty when I'm talking about Pisces. Oh, now I'm going to get in trouble for saying that. But, you know, whatever. They can go through life in the lower levels, much like the other water signs. They can do that, okay? And they can be elevated, they can be overly spiritual, they can be drug addicted, they can be like rigidly not drug addicted. So it just depends. But Pisces goes through these different stages, but they go through all 12 signs. So for them to feel this, they're actually going to respond to it with the frustration of not wanting to be in the fixed energy. Fixed energy that Aquarius is in opposition to the Leo with Mars, which is aggressive, because aggressive is fixed. When people get angry, it's because they think they're right and they want to prove a point and shove it down your throat. That's what goes on. Just turn on the news and listen to that crap. By the way, what we could all learn from that, and I never talk politically, but what anybody thinks, who cares? Why does it affect you? Let them think what they want to think. It's part of their soul development. When you get to a spiritual level, you recognize that even people who, I don't know, live in really weird ways. Let's say they live in a hoarder house with, I don't know, 16 dogs and 43 birds. Even if they live like that and it's like completely against you, it's not your place to say anything. It's part of their development, even if you don't like it. So what is the big deal with expression of anything? Stop judging other people and let them express, because ultimately it doesn't matter. You have no control anyway, because people are going to think what they think. They just won't express it to you and they'll feel more confined. Just saying, that's perhaps the energy of this Mercury retrograde and full moon eclipse. So I hope that's been enough, and I've talked way too much and everybody's run past me, and now I'm out here in the heat and I've got to get back before it reaches 120 or something like that. Okay, you guys, peace out. Happy eclipse day. Mwah. I love you all, and thanks for watching. And now I got to turn this off again like usual. Okay, see you guys. Happy full moon tomorrow, 1:20 Cali time and 4:20 Canada time. Bye guys.